Hey everybody, welcome to the Hamilcast. This is episode 4.
What? Already?
I know. I'm Gillian.
I'm Bianca.
Today we are joined by our resident New York City high school history teacher, Ashley Graffeo. Here comes the Chernow. Hey Ashley.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, not much. Just, saw Hamilton yesterday.
So that, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
not even a big deal.
No, not at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think a part of me died in the theater and might be haunting the theater now because it was amazing.
So you went because someone couldn't go? Someone backed out of their ticket? Did I hear that right? Because that feels fake.
So my colleague at work, who has seen it multiple times at this point, which I'm still a little bitter about, whatever.
Yeah.
She bought the tickets last April for like $60. And the friend that she bought them with ended up going out of the country because it was like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and she had already seen it. And so she sold me the ticket at face value.
Her friend had also already seen it?
Yes, her friend had also already seen it.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, does her friend know that seeing Hamilton is also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity?
I think they've both seen it like multiple times.
Okay, well, then.
You know what?
I know.
Who are these people?
I don't know.
That are seeing it all the time. But anyway, okay, so you went and it was the greatest thing you've ever seen, correct? The hype is real?
Oh, the hype is beyond real. The hype might not actually be enough hype.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. From the moment I walked into the theater, first of all, I started shaking a little bit. I turned to my friend when we were sitting in our seats after having a lovely conversation with the people near us as to how tight the seats are.
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
Richard Rogers Theater. Get your life, because it was very uncomfortable.
Oh, you're sitting on top of everybody?
Basically, it was horrible. But we were in the front row in the rear mezz. So...
Okay, but that's good being in the front, though, because you still get a really great vantage point of the stage.
Absolutely, yeah. I could see everything. There was nothing obstructed. It was awesome. From the moment we got into the theater, the first thing I said was, I have to buy something. That's my first priority while I'm here is, I have to buy a T-shirt or something. And I did. I got myself Hamilton and Washington. And
Yay!
Nice.
For the very low price of $40.
Oh, of
absolutely,
course.
yeah. I have that shirt too. It's pretty exciting.
A friend of mine who is going tonight, because everyone around me has either seen it or is going to see it immediately, tagged me on Facebook because he had an ampersand shirt, but it's not the one from the theater. It has Lafayette in it.
Oh, nice.
And then at the bottom it says Burr, and in parentheses, Sir.
Is that like a homemade Etsy find or something?
It must be an Etsy find.
Because that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's light blue. It's very reminiscent of my Columbo shirt, because yes, I own a Columbo shirt. But it's kind of that same color. And yeah, it's just has everyone, and it has Mulligan, but it has Lafayette, and Lafayette is not in that one, right?
No, Jefferson
the one from the
is,
theater?
No. Yeah, because this one has the founding fathers, I guess. Whatever. And Burr.
Burr.
Just kidding. Leslie Odom Jr.'s great.
Just kidding. We need him. Okay.
Yeah.
Need him for the story.
You said Oak was not in, but Andrew.
So, yeah, Oak wasn't in. And which my friend knew beforehand. She does the Twitter. I'm not a Twitterer.
Except, but you follow. Don't you follow at the Hamilcast on Twitter?
Well, I mean, obviously.
Excellent. Okay, great.
I mean, but yeah, she had all this information beforehand. I was I don't even care at this point. I know that whoever I see is going to be amazing.
Of course.
It was Andrew. He's one of the swings, and he was fantastic.
Is it Andrew?
Andrew Chappelle.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that was him.
Can we just talk about how hilarious he is on Twitter? Because during the Grammys, he was live tweeting that he doesn't have cable, so he was watching it on the live feed, and the live feed crapped out. And all of these people were trying to FaceTime him and doing this amazing stuff. And he was so adorably frustrated, but very grateful. And then after they won, he's now demanding that he's referred to as Grammy Award winning artist, Andrew Chappelle, which we all have to do. But he's hysterical. And Andrew, we'd love to have you on.
That's so funny.
I know that people have been photoshopping his face on pictures of other Grammy winners.
Oh,
yes.
no.
And he also has a dog named Patty Lubone.
Patty Lubone, yes, that's
who's
ridiculous.
adorable, and people also give Patty Lubone gifts at the stage door.
That's
well,
amazing.
When we went to the stage door after the show, and he was the only one that came out, which I had anticipated. I didn't think Lane or anybody was going to come out afterwards. It was a Wednesday matinee.
Yeah.
But he came out, and my friend talked to him and whatnot, and she got a picture with him, and I told him, he did a great job. And then, like, this little 13-year-old girl, like, stopped him and was talking to him, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh my God, that was you?" And it turns out that this was one of the girls who was, like, photoshopping his face on pictures of
that's so
Grammy
cute.
winners, and he was like, "That's absolutely amazing. Keep up the great work."
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she was. It was so insane to see, especially people after the show, just like fangirling so hard.
Oh yeah.
At the stage door. It was like I thought girls were gonna cry when they got their playbill signed by him. And I was like, oh my gosh, ladies, calm down.
Yeah, people with dignity only cry throughout the entire performance.
Obviously,
they don't do
the
it.
only way to cry is starting with, oh God, Stay Alive.
Oh God. So,
Rise.
okay, so let's backtrack. So the three of us on Monday night when the Grammys performance was occurring were group texting, but then there was a definite silence because clearly we were busy.
Oh, there was a silence.
It was pretty funny. There wasn't even live texting going on because no. But afterwards, you said I'm crying, and Gillian says I'm sweating and crying.
I just because I'm so excited about it and I'm so anxious about it, and I think the anxiety is also. I mean, I have my tickets for September, and that's great. But I'm not waiting for that.
I think it's a new aerobic workout. Just get really excited about Hamilton, and your heart rate skyrockets, and then you start sweating.
Yeah, like I get really hot, and it's just like the temperature
and shaky.
It's just it's like the Beatles.
In the theater yesterday, my palms were sweating.
My palms are sweating now talking about it.
I looked at my friend and I go, my palms are itchy and sweating, and she goes, mine too. It's a normal reaction, happens every time. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Good to know.
Okay, so your friend, who I'm sure she's delightful. We're best friends. It's very rare that you disagree with me on the delight level of people. I need to ask you, with no bitterness whatsoever, how has she seen it so many times?
Well,
what is her name? Kelly, right?
Her name is Kelly.
Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
No, Kelly, I'm sorry.
I promise. They're not really mad at you.
I'm kidding. I'm again, like I said, I sincerely think I'm sure you're lovely.
Well, we work a block away from the Public.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was at the Public, she was going to the lottery pretty much every day after work. She kept asking me to go, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Biggest mistake of my life. Because I think she won the lottery at the Public, and then I think she won it once when it was on Broadway, and then her friend won it while they were there at the lottery. And so I think this might have been her fourth time seeing it.
I wonder how packed the lottery was at the Public. I actually never did that, and I was kicking myself for not.
Well, same. And she would text me from the lottery, and she would say that it was pretty packed. And she was actually just telling me yesterday that she was so pissed when she was at the lottery at the Public because apparently there were people there who had also won multiple times, and she had yet to see it. And so she was like, just let them go home. They've already seen it. Like, give everybody else a chance. And under my breath, I'm like, God, Kelly, seriously, give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
But I am eternally grateful for her for thinking of me immediately when she found out that ticket was up for grabs yesterday, and for letting me buy it at face value before her friend could hike up the price like $10,000.
Oh my God, seriously. So, okay, let's talk about the show, without too many spoilers for Gillian's sake.
And you know what? I'm kind of okay with spoilers because I need so much of it.
Hamilton died.
But I know that people are into the spoilers. Although if you're listening to a podcast about it, you're probably okay. But just fair warning, no one get mad at us. So you two talk. I guess I'll be here when you guys are done.
No. I'm gonna go get another Sam Adams. Okay, so what? Okay, God, the question.
There's so many questions. I understand.
What was your favorite performance? Because I think that the performances are different, than listening to it.
Yeah.
Seeing it visualized, it totally changes it. So what was your, wow moment? Or one of the 75 wow moments you definitely had?
Yeah, obviously. Well, the first moment where I turned to Kelly and I just had a beaming smile on my face, and I couldn't, like, I just smiled at her because I was about to lose it, was Helpless.
Oh.
It was so good, because you know what? The first couple songs were exactly, and this isn't a bad thing, but they were exactly what I anticipated and kind of imagined. Knowing about the rotating stage and all that, I kind of, like, assumed this was how it was going to happen, and it was pretty on par. But when Helpless happened, I was just like, I did not see this coming. Like, I did not really see the staging that way. And then Satisfied just, like, stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, Satisfied, so good.
Oh my God. It was amazing.
I know.
As are all of the songs.
Right.
Even It's Quiet Uptown, which made me sob silently in my seat. But just the way that they do Satisfied, because I kind of had an idea of how I thought they might do it, because I was like, well, you know, she says rewind like 10 times, maybe they'll actually rewind, and they did, and it was so good.
that was going to be my question. Did they rewind?
They rewound, and it was like they did the choreography throughout the song was just like a mirror image, slightly slower, of the choreography in Helpless, and I was like, this is just so genius.
I have chills as you're describing it.
Yeah, I'm, like, picturing it in my head, and I'm having a hard time talking about it because I'm just, like, singing along in my head and being like, yes, go, Renee, yes.
maybe I'm completely delusional, but after being friends with someone for almost 20 years, which is insane,
quiet.
I kind of feel like I went.
No, you totally went.
That's how I'm justifying it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm so excited. I'm always so happy when I hear that people are going, because I know that it's going to be such an amazing experience for them, which I realize sounds like a delusional crazy person saying that as someone who hasn't seen it. But even you describing it, it's just like, oh, yes, it's awesome. It's so awesome.
It really was. And Wait For It was just perfect. I mean, like, Leslie just he tears the house down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what is it?
100%.
What is how are the people acting? Because I see when sometimes Lynn tweets that he sees people were rocking out. How much is too much rocking out? How much, like, what were you? I mean, obviously singing is a no-go.
Well,
of course. I
did have a fear that I was going to sing along, and I told Kelly, I was like, just smack me if you hear me, like, under my breath. I was like, because I've been known to do this. The first time I did that was when I was 7 at Guys and Dolls. So, this is actually something that I have done. I've sung along.
And what song was it?
Guys and Dolls?
Yes.
I think it was I Got the Horse Right Here.
Yes, it was. I asked you because I knew the answer.
I went to town. And I was 7, all right? I was 7.
Hey.
That's adorable.
And my dad always tells a story. He was like, people around were just so affected by your cuteness. He's like, that they couldn't even get mad. And I was like, well, I've heard that happens to a lot of people. So
story of my life.
So what are people moving? What's the?
To be completely honest,
you didn't know.
I had no concept of anybody else in that theater. I was laser focused on that stage, and I was bopping around, and I was like tapping out, the lyrics and the beats and everything.
How do you not?
I even caught myself rapping along, but obviously not out loud.
Yeah, it's so hard not to. I remember when, and it was embarrassing because I was in the front row. Sorry.
Oh wait, when you won the lottery?
Correct.
Great.
I was like leaping out of my skin with such excitement. And in the front row, there's all this like leg room, which is crazy and amazing. And so I'm like loose. I'm ready to go. What do we have in common? We're reliable with the ladies happened. I completely, unbeknownst to myself, did a total like body roll in my seat. And I was like,
the dancer in you. What were you supposed to do?
That's true. I'm not responsible for my actions.
No.
Oh my God. It's so hard not to want to just like jump on stage.
It was like at a certain point, I think during Guns and Ships, like I sat up and like leaned forward, and I was just like, yes, do it, sing it, Lafayette. Do
it. Yes. You learned our language, and now you can rap faster than anybody. Do
exactly.
it.
And I was sitting there, and I'm literally like, I'm recreating it right now as I'm talking. Like, I was in the zone, like on beat, Ashley always on beat. Like, it was perfect.
What?
I love it.
Hashtag for sure. So I happened to be nearby the Richard Rodgers as you were enjoying the show and having your mind blown. I was right outside, like so close yet so far. I walked by and I realized that the cancellation line was not really that bad. So I stood on it for a little while and realized that you really need to be prepared when you go.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was really, really cold, and I was not at all prepared. And it was kind of on a whim. There were people with chairs. Some girl was like, "Oh, you have to come prepared. I have snacks for every hour."
Yeah, I saw that.
Amazing.
Yeah, she had snack. But there were some people, and I didn't tell either of you this, that left during intermission.
Left the cancellation line?
No, left the show.
Left the show?
Left the show. I saved it for the air because I wanted the reaction.
Because they must have had a life-threatening emergency.
No. They were super calm. There was a mother and daughter. One of them said it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Why didn't you ask for their ticket stub?
Because I don't want to second act.
You don't want to second act it the first time, but oh my God,
I know.
That's crazy.
And then someone else, they were just kind of muttering, like shaking their heads, like they just saw.
First of all, I don't understand anybody who leaves a show at intermission anyway, because you paid the money for that ticket, however much you paid for it, whether it's face value or not. Why don't you just stick it out? It's another hour of your life.
I will actually
effing stick it out
for those people because I have walked out of a few plays.
No, what? Which ones? I want to know.
Wait, Gillian, didn't we walk out of one?
We walked out of.
Was it Johnny Cash?
It was Ring of Fire. We walked out of it, and to be fair, we were like 2 out of 8 other people in the theater. We did not pay.
The tickets were free. I got them for my job.
Yes, we did not pay for the tickets, and we were young and didn't care. And look, we are Johnny Cash fans. I love Johnny Cash very, very much. That show was not happening at all.
I just feel like okay, let's amend that for Broadway prices. That like
if we paid, we'd say like let's just see how it goes.
I'll stick it out.
Of course.
Like how bad does something have to be that you're willing to leave it intermission? And the fact that anybody does that, like it's mind-boggling to me. But okay, so people left.
People left.
The devil.
I ended up leaving the cancellation line because I was not at all prepared, and I was like, I'm here. Why not? And I learned my lesson that you guys, they're like warriors. They're also line sitters now. This show is making everyone insane.
I heard Kelly was telling me that usually on average you have to be within the first 12 people on that line to even have a chance of possibly getting a ticket.
Apparently,
on average they probably give out like 6 to 7 a night.
Yeah, and it depends on if you're looking for 1 or 2, because if they're, and also apparently yesterday they were giving out standing room tickets, which isn't normally the case. So it seems by the people who I was standing there with. They were kind of like, oh wow, they have like 11 standing room seats. That's rare. So I don't know what the deal is with the standing room seats is because we went to standing room all the time with Rent. We were there constantly. Yeah. So I don't know how. If they're not giving them away in the digital lottery, and they seem to be incredibly hard to come by, and I'm just not entirely sure where they're going or how that works. I'm sure people do. I'm sure if I ventured onto a message board, I could find out, but I'm not entirely. Did you see standing room people there today? I mean, yesterday.
I didn't. We scooted right upstairs, so like, I have to be completely honest. I really took in absolutely nothing other than the fact that I was about to see this show. And I even left the theater when we were standing outside by the stage door and I panicked. I was like, Gilly, I lost my playbill. What am I going to do? I lost my playbill. And she was like, oh, that's rough. And I was like, give me yours.
Yeah, come on, Kelly.
No. And so she was like, just go ask if they could give you a playbill. And I'd like run back in. I showed them my ticket. I was like, please, I was just here.
That's so sad.
Show. I was like, I just didn't pay attention. I didn't grab my playbill, please. And the guy just looks at me and goes, yeah, no problem. Give me a second. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Settle down, lady.
Yeah, I think he was just like, Jesus, woman. All right. Well, just some paper. Relax.
Yeah.
But I had an actually very elaborate fantasy in my head today that because I saw it yesterday, the gods would look down on me very well. And I would have won the lottery today.
Oh.
And then I was going to call you and ask or tell you that I was about to change your life. It was like this whole fantasy. And then like 4 o'clock came and I was like, well,
Yeah, we didn't win either. No, shocking.
I know. I appreciate that because that's really what my life is every day. It's really weird. The website has a lot of glitches because we all should have won a long time ago.
It's very strange.
Based on the group text of 40 minutes until we win the lottery.
I know. Yeah, it's
very. It's perplexing.
Did they not get those text messages? It's weird. I mean, my student won the lottery.
I know. You know what? Here's the thing that's crazy. It feels like everyone is talking about nobody can get in to see Hamilton. It feels like I'm surrounded by people that are seeing Hamilton more than once or winning the lottery or getting their hookup. I don't know what it is, but it's very easy for me to complain about it in my apartment and not in a hurricane. Do you guys like that segue?
What?
Good, I like that.
You want to talk Chernow?
Let's do it.
So chapter 2 is called Hurricane. It's a pretty quick chapter, but it's very significant, I think, as everything goes on.
Cool. It really kind of like sets the stage for everything that he's about to become.
Mm-hmm. And we're constantly reminded how young he was. So he was 14. He was a clerk, as we know.
Yep.
But he was that clerking job really set the stage, and it was during such formative years for him that he learned about money and business from such a very, very young age, and that really stuck with him.
Absolutely. He wrote financial systems into existence. I mean, come on.
I heard about that.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's pretty insane, too, is can you imagine yourself at the age of 14 basically single-handedly running an international import and export business?
No.
Because I was an idiot at 14.
I'm still an idiot.
Yeah, I just...
Okay, fair. Yes.
I can't...
That hasn't gone away. Yes.
Yeah, so, and speaking of that, so there's this letter he wrote to, which we discussed last week, Edward, who may or may not be his brother. They look very similar. But
right.
So he's writing this letter. He's 14 years old. And just one quote is, "I'm not a philosopher, you see, and may justly said to build castles in the air." 14.
I mean, no formal education.
No.
No less.
None at all. And then he ends that letter.
I love this.
He ends it with, I shall conclude, he ends it by saying, "I shall conclude by saying, I wish there was a war."
Yep. It's his only way to move up.
But the fact that someone at 14, I mean, I guess 14 was older than our 14 now, because you had to grow up a little faster back then, and they even say you went to college at like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Right, that's also true, but and by that point he would have also, he would have been considered like almost a full-grown man.
That's silly.
I know. Well, his dad, or, James Hamilton pieced out at 10 because he thought they could handle it. And I said this to Mike yesterday when I was, or earlier when I was kind of going through the notes of what we wanted to say. I said, can you believe, at 15 or 16 they were going to college? And he goes, yeah, well, when you live to 40, like that's not really that young. And I was like, oh yeah, it's just another reminder of what they had to go through.
Oh yeah, their life expectancy was way lower.
So then the hurricane came.
Right. He was in the eye of it, if I remember correctly.
Really? I wonder if there's a song. Oh, wait a second.
A very important part of the chapter, and then consequently his life, is meeting this Presbyterian minister named Hugh Knox, who, before coming to Nevis, was studying at Princeton, where the president of Princeton was Aaron Burr, Aaron Burr's father, also named Aaron Burr. And likely the first Hamilton ever heard of Aaron Burr was from Hugh Knox.
Yeah.
So he already had this image in his head, I would say, of this family or of this person and the education that follows them. So Hugh Knox becomes pretty much a mentor to Hamilton. And there's a paper that starts up, the Gazette. No, what's it actually called? It has a much nicer name.
It's the Royal Danish American Gazette.
I don't know how you can remember.
I know.
The Royal Danish American Gazette.
Yeah, because every paper is called the Gazette, it feels like.
Exactly.
Or like the Daily something.
Quota for the Gazette.
Hey, where's my little press badge?
This just in.
So Hamilton ends up, it becomes an opportunity for him to start publishing his writings. And his first foray into publishing is a set of poems that are very different in tone.
Very different,
But the first one is very sweet and speaks of marital bliss and is almost like virginal in its tone.
Also wise beyond his years, just the way he's seeing love and relationships in the first one.
Very much so.
Because in the second poem...
The second poem opens with the line, "Celia's an artful little slut." Okay.
Really?
Wow.
Whoa. See, that's more like the 14-year-olds of now. That poem is...
He was trolling Celia.
Oh, I think it's... Is it Cecilia?
Is it Cecilia?
I think it's Cecilia.
Might be.
Sorry, Cecilia.
Or Celia.
Sissy.
Sorry.
Oh, boy.
But the fact that, and Chernow goes into it. Chernow is also, I just want to say, the way he writes is so, Ashley, you said this before we started reading, that it really reads like a novel and not, and the way, some of the things he does, he'll say like, let's pause for a minute and realize what is happening. And then with exclamation points, like he gets it. He knows your reaction as you're reading it. And that is very helpful as someone. I prefer reading autobiographies. I like hearing things in a very conversational way. So I love that it's a biography, but at the same time, it feels like Chernow is sitting with us, telling us these stories and these facts about Hamilton.
Absolutely, I agree. And so Hugh Knox and Hamilton form this bond pretty much. And after those two poems, I think his next writings end up taking a more religious tone, I think because of his relationship with Knox. And it's not a surprise that Hamilton would feel some sort of connection because Knox was actually a pretty liberal-minded minister considering the times. He supported American independence, opposed slavery, and most important, believed that illegitimate children should be baptized and that members of the clergy should take them in and not shun them, which obviously would strike Hamilton straight in the heart.
Yeah, I would think so. That he could relate to that.
Definitely. And wasn't Knox Scottish as well? So there's also...
Indeed.
A connection there because, Hammy was, in fact, of Scottish descent. So it's kind of like a father figure, Yeah. But also you want to remember that Presbyterianism in general, at that point, about 200 years after, like 150 years after the Protestant Reformation. So Presbyterianism is actually a relatively new religion at that point. And it's also there's a few different factions of it as well within that time. Presbyterianism is basically the Scottish version of Lutheranism, which actually kind of believed that, good works and being a good person would get you into heaven and not making sure you went to church every Sunday and doing all this stuff. So it was being the person that God wants you to be, that was more preferable than being a completely very bent on morality kind of person. Of course, there's morality in it, but
not quite as much fire and brimstone and just being a good person.
Yeah, it's not like the Puritans in England and then in America. But again, I don't want to say that the Presbyterians of the 1700s weren't a little puritanical because they were.
Right.
By comparison, really.
Right.
Yes.
And it was Knox so Hamilton wrote this letter to James Hamilton.
After the hurricane, about how awful it was. And it really was. They were saying that furniture was found miles away. It was as devastating as you think it is. And
200-pound barrels of sugar.
Oh my God.
Lifted.
I underlined that part too.
And there was also potentially a 15-foot tidal wave because there was also an earthquake earlier that day.
Yeah.
What?
It was the worst day possible. So Hamilton wrote this letter to James Hamilton, and I'm saying James Hamilton because I'm kind of with the Chernow of I'm not entirely sure if it was his father. So it's father in air quotes.
Gotcha.
But Knox was the one to encourage him to publish it in the Gazette because he thought it was so incredible and just the way to explain, how awful this thing was. And he even wrote, the person doesn't want to seem like they're trying to cash in on this awful thing. But people didn't really believe that it was Hamilton that wrote it because it was so well written and it just no one really bought that it was this 14-year-old clerk. And then they all came together and they were like, this kid is insane, man. Let's get him safe,
They took up a collection. You know what? Let's send him to the mainland.
Yeah. That's
pretty much exactly. Yeah. So that he could get his education. So that he could come to America and get educated. And because he clearly had so much more potential than anybody else, apparently.
Right. And
the other thing that I thought was really cool was that a lot of them actually they contributed to his education because some of them thought that he would go into medicine.
Yeah, and become a doctor.
Come back and be a doctor for them.
Right.
And it's great that Hamilton was just like, yeah, see ya.
Yeah.
Okay, not come back.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting out of here. Bye.
Yeah. And then there's just one last thing that I thought was very cool, and I have a feeling this is going to come up a lot again further down the line. His Aunt Anne, who I think was the biggest benefactor to him getting out of there. He says that he's forever in debt to her. Even before he went to have the duel with Burr, he told Eliza, this is, I owe her my life.
Yeah, she was a champion of his. She championed him. She saw his potential and just kept, she pretty much like bankrolled him to go.
Yeah, and if he seems to feel like he was never able to fully repay her.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's one of the regrets that he took with him to the grave. But I mean, how do you pay somebody back for that?
Yeah, and I think if someone is that big of a benefactor, they understand, I'm doing this it's kind of a selfless act to say, I just want you to just do your
definitely.
thing and family can be crazy, but I get the sense that she knew exactly what was going to happen and she was happy to do it. I'm completely speculating.
She knew what he was capable of and that he would never have been able to actually reach his potential if he stayed in the Caribbean. Because, Chernow talks about it in the book and also just historically, like the Caribbean they were colonies. If they were there to serve the colony owners, like they didn't have free thought there. I mean, they weren't going to have free elections anytime soon or anything like that, and a lot of those places are still actually owned by England and, so there wasn't really anywhere for him to go there. Nowhere that he could go that he would shine.
And our next chapter is called The Collegiate, so
yes.
I guess we'll find out. What happens.
It's also fair warning, you guys, by far the most detailed and not confusing. There's so many names. There's like a lot going on. So we're going to break it down for you next episode in the best way we know how. And hopefully, Ashley, you have to listen to our next episode and then report back with all the mistakes that we made.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, that's my job.
If we made any. Well, thank you so much once again.
More than happy. I'm glad that I got to share my post-show euphoria with you.
I know. I'm so glad.
Merely just over 24 hours ago. Can you believe it?
Oh my God, no.
You were there. You were in the room where it happens.
I was in the, I had such a tough time posting pictures last night, figuring out if I wanted to put the line, I was in the room where it happened, or I did not throw away my shot. I went with I did not throw away my shot, and I actually regretted it immediately. I
was going to say, I can't believe we've gone 4 episodes without referencing being in the room where it happens, because that's the one. I know what I'm going to post when I win the lottery, but I'm not going to say it here.
Well, obviously, no, you don't want to.
I know, I can't.
Property.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
Obviously.
It's cute. My friend's mom actually is seeing the show tonight. Also,
are you
I give up,
serious?
guys. I know. I'm sorry.
Seriously?
Yeah, my friend Meg, who we talked about in episode 1, who got me the amazing Hamilton gifts 2 Christmases in a row.
Yes.
Her parents are seeing the show tonight, and her mom had knee surgery recently and is having a hard time, sitting and walking is very uncomfortable after you have surgery. So she was so nervous that she wasn't going to be able to come see the show because it would prevent her from getting into the city. They live out in Jersey. It's a whole thing.
No, you get that.
And so she became...
Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Right? So she became obsessed. So she's like, no, I am seeing this show, determined, okay?
Yeah.
And she says, it's so cute. She says to my friend Meg, she says, Meg, I am not giving away my shot.
That's adorable.
And Meg was like, you almost got it, Mom. That's real cute.
Yeah. She's trying. She's getting there.
We love it. So yeah, she's a mere 30 minutes away. So there's that.
There's that. I know it's the more I say it, I know it's going to mean less and less. I really am happy for these people. I really do hope they have a good time. They will.
Everybody's going to have a great time, and you're going to have an even better time when you win the lottery.
When I win the lottery.
And or one of us wins the lottery and takes you.
Yes, obviously. Because that's a for real pact that we have, and now that we're putting it on the internet, neither of you can back out.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, I'm going. And on that note, thank you again, Ashley. You want to do our sign off with us?
Sure.
You have to.
On it.
It's in the contract.
It's the contract that we. Yes, sure.
All right, so. Thanks again for everyone listening. Please follow us on at the Hamilcast on all your various media.
Yeah.
Shoot us an email at thehamilcast@gmail.com if you want to chat.
Yes.
And if you're enjoying the podcast, we'd love for you to leave us a review on iTunes. That would be super fantastic.
That would be excellent. We've had some very nice ones so far, but the more the merrier.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And also check out my show, The Residuals, at The Residuals on all the medias. That's my plug. Because I get to do it, because it's my show.
It's your show.
It's my show. Well, thank you again, you guys. Please stay tuned for our next episode. We will be discussing the collegiate, and we will be talking to Lizzie, who runs the Ham Wing Twitter, the Hamilton West Wing mashup. So that's going to be very fun.
Awesome.
I am G.Pen.
I am D.So.
I am A.Graph.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.